Good morning. This is a short update. My name is Grant Cameron. Wanted to do a little bit of an update on a presentation that was given at the beginning of June of this year in Las Vegas. I've had this sort of on my Facebook page, but I wanted to sort of do it on a PowerPoint where it's a little more clear. This is a presentation that was given by Dr. Hal Puthoff at the 2018 SSE and IRVA joint conference in Las Vegas. This is the Society for Scientific Exploration and the Remote Viewing people had a joint conference there. And there's one particular slide in the lecture that I would like to sort of highlight because people who didn't see the lecture won't know what the slide is about. During the conference, there was actually a tour of Bigelow Aerospace in Las Vegas, and I knew a couple of people that went to it, and they said it was absolutely fantastic. Probably the best part of the whole conference was the tour of Bigelow Aerospace, and Bob Bigelow was there and greeted people, and people got to see a lot of what goes on at Bigelow Aerospace. Just a short note on the Society for Scientific Exploration, which was the co-hosted the presentation. It is run by a guy by the name of Dr. William Bankston, and in a later update, I will actually do an update or a presentation on the connection between Bankston's energy healing method and UFOs. There's actually a very bizarre sort of connection. I went to Chicago. I was trained on the Bankston energy healing method, and after that, I sort of started looking at the whole consciousness issue and how it ties into UFOs, and it's a very bizarre thing, which I'll go into later. But anyway, Bankston actually gives an award to Hal Puthoff just before Hal Puthoff's presentation begins, but these are the two organizations that were running the conference. What I wanted to talk about today was government UFO investigation and the question of, is there mass confusion inside the government when it comes to UFOs, or is this an orderly, constitutional, and legal process that runs the same as every other program in the government, except it's a lot more classified? That's what I want us to look at and apply this one particular slide to maybe sort of help get an answer to this. There's a lot of people in the UFO community. I'm probably one of the few people who doesn't really follow a lot of what's been said. A lot of people in the UFO community believe that there is individual interest inside the government. There are people inside the government who have had UFO sightings, who are interested in the subject, but that there is no institutional interest and responsibility. So you may be a general in the U.S. Air Force, but the U.S. Air Force still doesn't have a UFO program. I don't believe that's true, but that is a very popular belief in the UFO community. The other thing that's been brought up, and this was sort of referenced to an interview that John Podesta had given about presidential knowledge. He was asked about presidential knowledge, and he acknowledged at least what I have said, that the president can ask for whatever he wants, and they cannot refuse him any information he wants. And the idea was put out that it's a little more complex than the president just asking for material. That once you ask the people under him, then you got to figure out where the material is, and that it is in these various stovepipes, classified stovepipes, and that all these individual groups are doing their own thing, and that if you're going to coordinate the material for the president, you really can't do it because you can't really find the material. My personal experience working in government is that's not how it works. You have the president will call in his director of national intelligence. It is not the president's job to try to figure out how things work. And he brings in the director of national intelligence and he says, okay, I want to know what's going on with Iran. Do they have a nuclear weapon? What's going on? What about North Korea? That is the job of the director of national intelligence, to overlook the 17 intelligence agencies, to gather the material, and if it's not coordinated, if it's in different stovepipes, to put it together to provide the best intelligence for the President of the United States. And I believe that process in a large part is going on. So I'm very doubtful of the fact that there's a bunch of people all running around doing their own thing, and that there is no coordination whatsoever. The third thing is again very popular, is the idea that the president is a puppet, that he really doesn't have the clearances, that he's basically told to be quiet. And you could have said that about Barack Obama, you could have said that about Bill Clinton. I don't think you can really say that about Donald Trump, that Donald Trump is taking orders, that he really does what he's told by people behind the scenes. I think the president is ultimately powerful. He can do whatever he wants. He may be deluded. He may be confused, but he basically is running the show. And the final one is this idea that even the government doesn't know, that there's some sort of Illuminati that controls all the governments of the world, and that all the governments of the world are basically saluting to some sort of business or Illuminati group that is basically telling everybody what to do. I don't think that's popular at all, or in my mind, it's not something that I think is really going on. And that's why I want to go to this particular slide, which will sort of illustrate and sort of back up what I've been saying for many years. Hal Puthoff and his assistant at the Institute in Austin, Texas, Dr. Eric Davis, have been on Coast to Coast a number of times in the last couple of months talking about the ATIP program, talking about what the government knows about UFOs, and they've made some sort of revealing remarks. For example, Dr. Eric Davis said that there was a crash saucer program and that it had been mothballed in 1989 because the government was not able to get anything. They were not able to back engineer anything. And Hal Puthoff was on, and he said a couple of things. The one thing he did say, which I still haven't found yet, is he stated there was a classified document on crash saucers that is a legitimate document, and this document is out there. He doesn't know how the document got out. I'm not sure what document he's referring to. And the second one that he referred to was a document, which I'm going to show you right now, is from the Soviet Union, and he talked about a highly classified program, and that he had seen this from the Soviet Union, the report on this program, and referenced this on Coast to Coast. And down the road, I have my website has just been is being redone. And it will no longer be presidentialufo.com. It'll be beyondpresidentialufo.com. And on that website, I will produce all the transcripts of all the interviews, major interviews done by people like Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis and Tom DeLonge and all these different people on Coast to Coast, because a lot of people really don't get to hear these shows. And so I want to sort of put all that stuff on the record. So we are actually producing transcripts that people can sort of reference. But again, this is the document that Hal showed at the remote viewing conference, was this document from the Soviet Union. And he had first talked about it on Coast to Coast. Then when I heard the audio of the presentation in Las Vegas, I heard him talk about this document, and it appeared that he was showing a slide. So now the video of the presentation is out, and I now know which document they're talking about. The document comes from, apparently from George Knapp, and they give credit to George Knapp and Brian Gresh, who people will know that George Knapp did a lot of reporting. He had actually gone to the Soviet Union. He talked to a bunch of people and had produced a documentary, UFOs, the best evidence, in the 1990s. And it was George who provided this document from the Soviet Union. The document has to do with Zitkur, Kapustin Yar, and the military unit 73790. Now, according to the story, this is the Area 51 of the Soviet Union, and this is what this document deals with. This is the document that is shown, was shown by Hal Puthoff in the conference. And according to him, it was a number of pages. There was a lot of material, sort of a thick document. And you can see it has the military unit 73790 on it. And in this document, this is what Hal says. This document in the program that we dug out of the Soviet Union, it's a very thick document. This shows the Soviet Union had a massive program, also trying to get to the root of all this. In this document, a vast number of research institutes and military institutes are listed. They have had the same concerns we did. Is there a threat from the phenomena, or might the Americans make headway before us, and that would be a threat? And once again, this is the document that they have. And so the question was, what was going on in the Soviet Union? And they had, according to the rumors, a number of crashes in the Soviet Union had been looked at by the Soviet Union in 1959, 74, 79, 78, 83, 84, 87, 89, and 1991. And that all this stuff had gone to this Kapustin Yar base where they were doing back engineering on this kind of stuff. And the alien corpses and all that kind of stuff were studied at other places. So again, we go to this document and we see that the Soviet Union had a major program, that they actually had this program and that they were back engineering all this sort of stuff. And so this is sort of the end of my presentation here to show you that the idea that people are putting out is that the Soviet Union had this program. It was looking at all these crash saucer things. It was well coordinated. There was all these different units, all these different military things, and that we have a situation where the United States of America, if you look at the military budgets of these two countries, you can see the United States of America totally wipes out the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, really, Russia has no military budget compared to the United States. So to me, this slide is very important, showing this 737 90 unit in the Soviet Union, that if the Russians had a coordinated program in which they had all these people and all these things, and they were working to back engineer all this stuff and had it all coordinated, the chances that the United States of America didn't do anything and that they're all undisciplined and that they don't have this thing under control and that they're not looking at it as a unified program, maybe very highly classified, but the fact that there's all these people doing their own thing in the Soviet Union, they've got it all organized, I think there's absolutely no chance of that at all. I think the Soviet Union and the Russia and all the countries of the world that are working on it have this thing coordinated. It's just very, very highly classified, and very few people have access to it. So I firmly believe that the Americans have a program. They have people overseeing the program,